adaptations like these Christopher Awdry books, and Scrambled Eggs from this book was actually one of the first I actually can recall watching, and that was when I discovered the other railway series narrators like Ted Robbins and Willie Rushton and stuff like that too. So yeah, definitely got a bit of fun memories of that one. Now this one I actually just got earlier today in the mail. I actually just finished reading this before I start gathering my books and recording this, but I have Jock the New Engine from 1990. Now, the only thing that's what now the only notable praises from this book is how the two new characters, Frank and Jock, of course, who was introduced in this book, did later on gain some Ertl models, but were only exclusive in the UK market and the Europe market, I should say, as well. Like Jock, Jock's Ertl model was actually the last to be made by the brand before RC2, discontinued the line in favor of bringing the take along range into the European market as well. And I do have solid memories of seeing some SI3D films adaptations. I basically seen adapted the majority of the book apart from, was it Teamwork? That's a story I don't remember seeing like his. I don't think he actually adapted that little one-off story until years later, or I might have seen someone else do it later on, but I can't really recall. Here we have Thomas and the Great Railway Show from 1991. Now, this book, I guess it kind of preludes The Great Waste from 2016, where Thomas goes to the mainland for a Great Railway Show. Some description meets all these other famous locomotives from England and such, primarily the Flying Scotsman, but and internationally in the foreign countries. But this one only features other English heritage locomotives like Stephenson's Rockets, Green Arrow, the Mallard, and stuff like that too. It's a nice little book as well. Definitely adds the whole realistic charm that the Awdry's brought to the lore of Thomas as well. So that one. Next up we have is Thomas Comes Home from 1992. Now, Adam or Thomas Theorists did a video regarding the cancelled 25th series of the original Thomas series, not counting All Engines Go, because that's an entirely new continuity. But he believes that the actual story that this book is actually named off of could have possibly been adapted into the lost 25th series if Mattel went ahead with production after series 24 concluded. I do have some mixed opinions about it. We don't know exactly what exactly the team at Mattel were looking at doing, apart from say Thomas going to Japan, and also having Thomas doing a bit of a time travel sequence where he meets the original Gauge 1 Thomas from the 80s, with possibly Ringo Starr reprising his role as the original Gauge 1 Thomas. But we don't know if Thomas Comes Home is being adapted to this into that series wasn't going to be the case or not. Which if anyone were to ask contact Ian McHugh or anyone else who worked on the Barber era of the show, that type of question remains to be unanswered. That's far as I can say about that one. Next up we have is Henry and the Express. How this book introduced a common fact or the canon theory, or was it the canon little statement that the engine's faces, despite being glued to the smoke box doors, can actually open. So it really begs the question how that's even possible in this type of continuity and lore, where in the real life it's pretty easy going, but anthropomorphic trains, who can communicate to human beings, it's unclear and also can be a little bit disturbing at the same time. So yeah, that's that one. Here we have Wilbur the Forest Engine from 1994. Our one of the lost characters that Christopher Awdry envisioned for his books in Barry the Rescue Engine was going to be like a austerity class tank engine, as some description. It's unclear if the character was recycled into 16 for the cab over wheel stories in this book, but just like Stepney, Flying Scots, for example, Wilbur is actually based on a real engine, like a real austerity tank engine in the Forest of Dean in England, who oddly enough is named after the Reverend W. Awdry himself, Wilbert. So there's a bit of food for thought for that one. Second last book is Thomas and the Fat Controls Engines from 1995. Now, this book was 30 years old. This book will be too, oddly enough. And this book, my copy is actually a reissue from 2013, as you can see from the Hit Entertainment logo, which is almost 20 years old now, I should say too. Bloody hell, time flies. But yeah, so this book was to collaborate the 50th anniversary of the Railway series, and it also kind of preludes Thomas and Victoria with the was like the return of Pip and Emma, eventually replacing Gordon as the express for Sodor to the mainland and such. It's nice little definitely the closest I'm ever going to get to getting Thomas and his friends at this point, because knowing how the covers are quite similar to each other though, so a little parallel there. And the last book I have is New Little Engines from 1996. Now, I want to point out too, up until Wilbur the Forest Engine, Thomas the Fat Controls Engines, this one, Thomas Victoria and Thomas and his friends didn't have Ted Roberts record narrations of the book for any little cassettes or CD or whatever. So any adaptation you guys can find, there will be used for other Thomas users and stuff like that too. And Ivor Hugh, from what I can remember, he didn't get much involvement after the series conclude the Railway series concluded, but just like Ertl and Jock, he was given merchandise at a later date, primarily for the Wooden Railway line, from the 2000s, the era I grew up with. I personally still think that he should have got an Ertl model to join the other two engines, but that's my guess really. So yeah, that's that one. Not entirely sure if the other Skyline Railway book Chris had in the pipeline was going to direct follow off from this book, but who knows. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this little collection video, and I hope to see all these books get re-released in some kind of big compilation book for the 80th anniversary this year, and yet to see the outlines of Chris's lost books for the Awdry Extravaganza. But until that day comes, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!